Was Magneto right? He believes or advocates for mutant superiority and often resorts to violent means to protect the mutant race, right? Xavier advocates for coexistence. He wants to be equal with humans. After watching this series, was Magneto right?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Welcome to another episode of Only Comics. I'm Mike. This is Adrian.
What up, man?
What's up, dude?
Living life, baby. Living life.
You are, dude. You looking good in that merch.
Hey, that's what I do. That's what we do.
That's what we do.
Right?
You know where you can get that?
Only
OnlyComicsMerch.com.
Well, yeah.
Yes, sir. So anyone watching could look just like you or me. I don't know, just
if they choose.
If they choose to. But we had a great show planned for you today, man. A lot going on this past week. X-Men 97 wrapped up.
Yep.
We saw the last episode. It wrapped up that last three-part kind of mini-series. Tolerance's Extinction wrapped up the first season. And there was a lot going on in that episode.
It was, dude. We're gonna talk about that.
We're gonna go through that, dude. And I'm still not even sure how I feel. I think there's some good, bad, and everything in between.
Right,
you know?
Definitely.
But all in all, I enjoyed the first season, and I'm looking forward to a lot more.
Sure.
Well, we're going to start off with some comic news and rumors, Adrian. We got, and believe it or not, X-Men 97's in the news, okay? Yeah. So, Bo DeMayo, the number one he's like the Don King of X-Men 97, and he got fired months ago, you know? But, dude, he's been promoting the hell out of this.
Right. Is Don King still alive?
I don't know. Maybe. While you're talking later, I'll search and find out.
Sure.
But Bo DeMayo's still alive, though.
Okay.
He's not employed by Marvel. But they asked him about his involvement in the second season, okay? Because I think he was one of the main writers and I think the showrunner for season one. He was involved in pretty much everything. So he was interviewed recently. And they asked him about season 2. He said, I did write a lot of season 2. However, unlike season 1, I will not be heavily involved or leading production, cast records, design, editorial, post, music, etc., nor doing any production rewrites as it relates to the creative vision of the show. So I think he's kind of like flexing everything he did in season 1.
Right. I was going to say, he's saying all the things that that's not happening that he was doing in season 1. Yep. Hey, put your resume out there, Bo.
Dude, it's like a breakup. Like, I'm not washing your clothes no more. I'm not making you dinner. I'm not cleaning up. It's kind of like, he's like, dude, I did all this. Y'all are on your own now.
Right. Chew your own food,
exactly. Yep. You're hungry, you better get some lean cuisine or something, warm that shit up. But now, I like the fact that he wrote a lot of season 2. Now, he's not the only person in Hollywood that's a good writer, right?
Sure.
It could slide someone else in there. Maybe, I guess if I'm looking at it from a positive standpoint, Adrian, sometimes we're accused of being a little negative here.
Sure.
But I would say if Marvel had, they made the right decision with Bo DeMayo, maybe they'll make the right decision with his replacement. Who knows?
I don't know. Some say they made the right replacement with Cavill, but I mean, they'll probably get a Bo DeMayo clone, right? It kind of looks like him, even though nobody knows what he looks like anyway.
Right.
Well, his OnlyFans people. Yeah. But, so we'll see.
Yeah. Or it could be a bad thing. It could be losing. Maybe he was the main centerpiece of this first season.
Sure.
And maybe he was the reason it was successful. Who knows? But
I will see.
We will see. Next up, Spider-Man 4 is coming up soon, dude. There's a lot of it's been in the news a lot lately, but there was a rumor recently. First of all, one of the Sony bosses came out and said that there's going to be big things happening in Spider-Man 4 and the next Venom movie. Okay, Venom 3 comes out this year. It's the last show, end of the road, something like that. I don't know. No, it's a Venom movie. Does it really matter what it's called?
Boys to Men soundtrack.
Yeah. But the rumor that just dropped this week, Adrian, was that, remember at the end of No Way Home, there's a little post-credit scene, and Tom Hardy's Venom is now in Spider-Man's, Tom Holland's universe.
Right.
Earth 616 or whatnot, right? He's at the bar, and something happens, and he gets pulled back into his own universe, but a little piece of the symbiote stays in Earth 616. We've yet to see this show up again, right? So the rumor is that in Spider-Man 4, we're going to see that symbiote. Tom Holland Spider-Man is going to get the symbiote suit, become Black Spider-Man, and they're also teasing maybe Venom shows up in Spider-Man 4. Now, they did not say the Tom Hardy Venom because he's now left. But how do you feel about Venom, the potential of Venom showing up in Spider-Man 4?
I think it's a natural progression.
Yeah.
There was such a long run with the Black Spider-Man suit, and so that's cool. And it would be interesting to see Tom Holland play that. You know, it's like when Christopher Reeve, first got that kryptonite that made him like evil Superman. So that'd be interesting to see, Tom Holland do that performance. But I mean, I'm sure he'll knock it out the park as he's done in the past.
Right.
So the Venom thing, I think it would be too much to introduce the Black Spider-Man, the symbiote, and a separate Venom, or if he turns into. So I think it'd be too much. So give him a show to introduce the symbiote, and then they can move on into anything they want.
Yeah. Now, if Venom does show up, are you okay with it being Tom Hardy because he's established, or do you think we should see a brand new Venom actor?
Tom Hardy has never done anything for me, so I think he's the wrong character, wrong actor for Venom. So I would be interested in seeing a different person playing him.
Yeah.
I think it would make it more dynamic.
Yeah. I kind of can go either way because I'm not a fan of Tom Hardy's Venom, but we've now seen it for a couple movies, and just because they've teased that interaction, I'd like to see it. But in the long run, I'd rather see a new actor portray Venom because he doesn't feel like Eddie Brock, not the Eddie Brock we're used to in the comics. And I know on screen you can always change it, whatever. But I'd like to see a more traditional Eddie Brock. Not the I want to be funny guy Tom Hardy.
Right. And we're not talking about like a Nick Fury change, or Aquaman change. I mean, even though those are dramatic changes, it kind of fit. But this Tom Hardy, it's just not working. But besides that, who else is going to come over if the Tom Hardy Venom comes over, right?
Who's that?
The Chinese or Korean lady.
I'm
sure I'm messing it up. Yeah. Don't shame me about the Asian thing, but whatever she is, she'll probably be there too because she is like the Gordons and the Alfreds.
Yep.
They're the ones that make the actor portrayal what it is in the movie.
Yeah, that would be cool. And she did show up, if you remember, in Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse.
Right.
There was when they were jumping through dimensions.
Of course.
She popped up, but there was no Venom. So, hey, either way, dude, I'm excited for a Spider-Man 4. I think it's about time. Marvel's kind of been on this little hiatus lately, which, Kevin Feige came out recently and said, like, basically, we know we've been messing up. Like, we understand the movie sucked lately, and we understand that we've been trying to put out too much. And that was kind of like, you can call it their excuse, you can call it their reason, but we're trying to put out too much content too fast, and then the quality dropped, right? It's like, dude, you make one nice turkey for Thanksgiving, bro. You're going to baste it. It's going to take hours. Try to make 12 turkeys in that same oven, dude. It's going to be a shit show.
Right, exactly.
Some of them are going to be uncooked. You're going to burn some. It's gonna and then you're not going to have any food to eat.
Right. Or just going to get pissed off and throw all of them out the window anyway because I'm done. Done. But at least he acknowledged that, he understands what people are saying, and there was some kind of response to it.
Correct.
Regardless of whether it was genuine or not.
Right. Another rumor, Chris Evans, your boy, Human Torch, Captain America, whatever. Now he's at his 2-character limit because you have put out a 2-character limit per actor, right?
Yep.
Now, Chris, for comic books, like not only just 2 movies, but Chris Evans been Human Torch.
Yep.
Not so great. Captain America, amazing.
Right.
Which is kind of like the trend. Like, you got the Ben Affleck Daredevil, atrocious.
Right.
His Batman, I'd say top tier,
Well, I call that casting because Tom Holland, Spider-Man, great. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So it's a lot of casting that makes the character.
Yep.
Not necessarily that, except for Halle Berry and the winter chick from Games of Thrones.
Yeah, dude. There's like a I don't know how big, but a percentage of fans out there that actually like The Halle Berry storm.
Okay.
Like when we said that a few weeks ago, like they were defending and like so Halle Berry is up there with Hugh Jackman. Like whoa,
no, not at all.
You guys should not drink that much before you comment. Like right. Wait till after. But anyways, Chris Evans is rumored to return in a limited series that focuses on Cap returning the Infinity Stones that they stole in Endgame. So remember, at the end of Endgame,
right
after Tony Stark dies, that whole deal. Cap is in the park. They're doing some time travel. He's going to go put the stones back. And Hulk is there, so they send him back in time.
Right.
He places all the stones back. He lives his life, and then he comes back an old man a few minutes later.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always been maybe a fan desire to see what happened when he went back in time and when he placed all these stones, because there's 5, 6 stones, so
right.
It's be quite an adventure.
Sure.
So the rumor is that we're actually going to get that in a limited series. I'm assuming it'd probably be like a Disney Plus show or something. So
sure.
How do you feel about that news, Adrian?
I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Because like all the Captain America movies have been at the very least entertaining.
Yeah.
Some more so than others.
Right.
So I agree. It would also be a very adventurous ride.
Mm-hmm.
They could also make it multiple movies.
True.
Because if you think about it, the Infinity Stones, you got to go get them.
Yep.
Probably take them from somebody.
Yeah.
There's an adventure in itself, and then you got to take them to someplace.
Right.
And then what is that place where you're going to put all the most powerful gems in the universe, kind of a deal. So I think I'm cool with that.
Right. Well, I think with this one, it would be he already has them because they stole them in Endgame.
True.
And I say stole, I don't know who really owns them, but to me, like they were here, and if you pick it up and take it, you stole it, right?
Well, there you go.
Yeah. So I guess they did steal them.
Okay.
But is it stealing if he returns them? Is it more borrowing?
Well, is he going to return it to the original owner? Is there an owner?
True.
Is he going to get robbed along the way?
Damn.
So there's a lot of variables, man.
All things that they need to figure out. So we're helping them out already.
Exactly.
We're giving them the whole plot for like the first 3 episodes.
Right. Scripts, man.
But
scripts.
yeah, this is something I'd be excited to see on Disney Plus. You know, a nice little mini series. I mean, you could do, what is there, 6 stones? I think 5 maybe. I don't know. Let's see. Reality, power, time, space. I feel like I'm in Soul. Right? Okay. 5. There we go. 5. We could be wrong.
We could be wrong.
Because believe it or not,
5 fingers, right?
You would, I think that makes sense. But I think he has one here. I don't know. But we're not experts.
Wait a minute. Are these the same stones that the Mandarin has? He's got like 10 of. He's got
rings.
10 rings. Yeah. You're right. There you go.
Yeah. So that'd be a whole nother show right there.
Oh, what?
10 rings, 6 stones. But anyway, so let's say there's 6, Adrian. I don't know. Every episode.
And some chains from Wing Chong or whatever his name is. No, whatever.
Yeah, who knows? But if there's 6 stones, 6 episodes, each episode returning 1 stone, it'd be a pretty nice little, offshoot. I mean, we already know he doesn't die. He comes back as the old man. Mm-hmm. But I'd be down with that. So
it's too bad they didn't give him some longevity with the super soldier serum.
Yeah.
They made him, strong and all this other kind of stuff. But, it's no, I'm not saying immortality, but just, long lived.
Right. Maybe age is a little slower.
Right. Apparently not.
Nope. That's only in the one they gave Wolverine. Well, actually, no, that was his mutant ability.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we really don't even know how old Wolverine is. So nobody knows. Matter of fact, he doesn't even know.
Exactly.
Because there's a lot of his memories got wiped out.
Yep. The old age, dude. He's senile, or maybe it's just his mutation or his. No, actually, they wiped his mind. Anyways, next up, speaking of Wolverine, that was a good segue there. It's like you're reading my mind,
that's
dude.
It, man.
Look at that.
Another power.
That is. Oh, you're a little psychic, huh?
That's it.
All right. Well, I don't know if you knew this was coming. Deadpool and Wolverine rumored runtime to be just over 2 hours long, which is longer than both of the Deadpool movies. I think the first one was like an hour and 40-something minutes, and the second one was right at 2 hours. Just over 2 hours? For me, it seems like, not that I want, a Zack Snyder cut,
right.
8-hour movie, but it seems like there's a lot planned for this movie, and just being just over 2 hours seems like not enough time to do what they're trying to do. I hope it doesn't feel rushed. When you hear just over 2 hours for something like this, what do you think?
I'm thinking fillers. I'm thinking a lot of filler. There's probably a lot of cameos.
Yeah.
Which is going to make the movie complicated. So I hope they're not just throwing people around just to throw people around.
Yeah.
And I hope if it is fillers that it makes sense. So outside of that, I mean, as long as it's entertaining and engaging, cool.
Yeah.
Again, I agree with you. Not 8 hours,
right?
But 2 hours. I think that's a good amount of time.
Just to give you a reference point, Endgame was 3 hours and 2 minutes, and everything that wrapped up in there. Do you think just over 2 hours is enough for Deadpool and Wolverine?
Well, yeah. I mean, but look at Endgame, though. Look at how much stuff was involved. Yeah. How many people were involved.
True.
I mean, you had multiple kingdoms, multiple worlds. Yeah. I mean, you had a lot of stuff going on. You got just two, Deadpool and Wolverine. You got two yodels just popping around the universe, messing up stuff. So, I mean, come on.
Right. Well, I guess to your point, as long as all these, 800 rumored cameos are just cameos, like they're not going to be, main focuses. I guess, I just what makes me nervous is I think about movies like Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness that was shorter, where I do think with maybe an extra 30 minutes or so, it could have helped it out. It just felt rushed. So I'm hoping this doesn't feel rushed because I feel like they're making up rules as they go, but give us some time to understand these rules before you jump into the next scene. Like that's what I felt like Doctor Strange was. It was like riding a damn roller coaster that just never slowed down.
Right.
It wasn't a horrible movie. It's still, I'd say, better than the Eternals.
Yeah. And She-Hulk, even though She-Hulk wasn't a movie.
True. Good thing She-Hulk wasn't 2 hours per episode. You mentioned
what?
All right. Next up. Last piece of news, Madam Web, Adrian. I always say the beloved movie, Madam Web. We reviewed this movie here. Yeah. I had someone in the comment, I forget who it was. They said that the Madam Web review was better than the movie, so that was cool. But Madam Web reached #1 in Netflix top 10 since debuting last Tuesday.
Isn't it free?
Yeah.
There you go.
But why are people watching it?
Because it's free.
I mean,
I don't know. Usually, well, Netflix, no, Amazon does that. Amazon, everything that they put up there, it's like rent or buy for like the first 15 years.
Right.
And then you got to figure out, go to Tubi or something and find the free version. I don't know, dude. To answer your question, I don't know why.
That's a lot of people watching Madam Web. Like, is there nothing else on Netflix? Holy shit. That's crazy.
Actually, lately, no, not really.
Wow, Madam Web's the best movie you can watch on Netflix right now.
That's painful.
All right. Well, every week we like to wrap up our comic news and rumors with a little thumbs up, thumbs down. So, you ready, Adrian?
Let's go.
All right. #1, Bo DeMayo explains his involvement in season 2 of X-Men 97, which is like almost none. He wrote some episodes and that's it. I'm giving this a thumbs down, dude.
I agree. Thumbs down.
Rehire my man. Get him back in there, dude. Come on.
But there's also no reason for him to say any of that because he's still promoting the movie.
Right.
So
he's helping him out, dude. He should at least get paid.
Something, dude.
#2.
At least a cup of Joe.
Yeah. I mean, we can't even get that.
Hey.
But I see you cut out the cream, dude. You're sounding like top tier today.
That's it, man.
We're
going on a week without the. Actually, I slipped because I did, and I had 1 cup this week.
And you fell off the wagon.
But outside of that, dude.
Okay.
Yeah.
You felt it though that day?
Yeah. Oh, I've definitely felt it.
Man, dude, we used to be promoting, and now we're demoting them.
Right.
I guess.
See, Duncan, you had an opportunity to slip in there. So if I can't have it the way I want it, then I don't want it at all.
Right.
I can make my own coffee.
Exactly.
Dunkin' Donuts way.
Yep. No doubt. Without the cream that screws up your whole, mutant abilities.
Right.
It's like a kryptonite for you almost.
Yep.
Dude. It's like they were watching, they're catching on. But anyways, #2, the symbiote left behind in No Way Out is going to show back up in Spider-Man 4 is the rumor. I'm giving that a thumbs up.
Cool. Thumbs up.
Chris Evans rumored to return in a limited series focused on Cap returning the Infinity Stones that they stole or borrow in Endgame. I'm giving that a thumbs up. Love to see that.
Thumbs up.
Deadpool and Wolverine runtime rumored to be just over 2 hours long. I'm going thumbs down. I don't think that's long enough.
I'm going thumbs down because I don't care. Just make it a good movie.
Okay. #5, Madam Web reached #1 in Netflix top 10 since debuting last Tuesday. I'm going to say thumbs down, dude. Those people watching that should have went and watched X-Men 97 with us.
Right. What they should have did is just tuned in to Moral Only Comics, and then they would have not even bothered with Madam
Absolutely.
Web.
That's even better.
I'm just saying.
So you going thumbs down?
Since our review of Madam Web was better than Madam Web, they should have just watched us.
There you go.
So, thumb down.
Should have helped us become #1 on YouTube and Spotify.
That's
By the way, you can subscribe right now to YouTube, or you can go to Spotify and subscribe there too if that's where you get your podcast. We're expanding. We're growing every week. That's just in this universe, you know. Think about all the other universes where we're
in.
All right, that's a little thumbs up, thumbs down. So, Adrian, we get comments every week, YouTube, TikTok, and one of our most frequent commenters, as we call him here, God Mode 2077. You know God Mode?
Oh, yeah, God Mode.
Dude, he always has great questions and nice little lists himself. So he said, thank you for the shout-out. Love the podcast. Well, here's another shout-out.
There you go.
And the question he asked us is, what's your top 5 villains of all time in superhero movies? Pretty good question.
Villains? Okay.
Yeah. Now, he gave his top 5. He said Heath Ledger's Joker, Thanos, Killmonger, Man of Steel's General Zod, and then Green Goblin, with some honorable mentions, Bane, Doc Ock, Hela. That's pretty solid list there, right?
Sure.
So I figured, you know, in the spirit of giving God Mode a little shout out here, we can give our top 5 mutants, villains from comic book movies. Now, he named a lot of good ones.
Okay.
I would probably steal one of his right off the bat, Heath Ledger's Joker.
Right.
Now, do you have when you hear that, is there one villain that stands out as number 1 to you?
Oh yeah.
Who's that?
Doom.
Yep. Which movie?
No, in the comic.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
So are you saying in the movies?
In the movies. Yep.
Oh, in the movies.
Versions. Yeah.
Movie versions of top 5 villains.
Yep.
Let me roll that one over a while.
Okay.
For a second.
Now, I would say I would have to put Heath Ledger's Joker on there.
Okay.
That's got to be up there. I don't know of. I mean, he may even be number 1.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with Thanos.
Mm-hmm.
I think Josh Brolin's Thanos was amazing.
Sure.
I'd probably throw a Magneto in there. Now, would it be Fassbender or McKellen?
I don't think the actor should make a difference. It's the portrayal of the
but it's a different character, though.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So which version do you think?
Was it McKellen?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would.
The older guy?
The older guy,
yeah.
He was more seasoned.
Yeah. They both had their strengths, though. Like, I think, I agree. He was more, he felt like a more established, like, obviously he was an older Magneto.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we've seen more of the power set with Fassbender.
Mm-hmm.
Like, remember when he lifted the stadium and dropped it around the White House?
Yep.
Like, but then again, we saw McKellen move the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yeah, was that.
There's that.
But Fassbender, his powers were more subtle, which I also like, more precise.
Yeah.
Like when the guy accidentally, for whatever reason, had a bow drawn, right, and shot his daughter. I mean, he had only back like this, right? But the arrow went through his daughter and his wife, right? And so when he, got pissed off about that, he just did something very subtle, very quick. I mean, I like that kind of detail.
Yeah.
So that's control,
right?
As opposed to a Golden Gate Bridge thing, something like that.
Yeah. And then,
so you're right. They both had their strengths.
Yeah, they both had, because initially I was thinking Fassbender, but no, I mean, I love the scene when Magneto's in a plastic prison.
Exactly.
And what's her name? Mystique, who's a much better Mystique than freaking Jennifer Lawrence.
Yep.
Rebecca Romaine, top tier Mystique. She injects him with the iron, and he even notices it as soon as he walks in. Like, you get a little more iron in your blood than usual.
Right.
And dude rips it out. I mean, very similar to the Fatal Attraction scene.
Yep.
Right. Obviously, it's not adamantium, but then dude just making bullets. Like, that was a badass scene.
Yeah.
You said McKellen? I think I'd roll McKellen.
Yeah, McKellen.
Yeah. But now, do you agree with me that Magneto's McKellen is a top 5 on-screen villain?
Yeah, I agree. McKellen's top Magneto.
Yep.
I'll go with the Green Goblin, Spider-Man.
Yes. I agree with that.
I'll go with
Killmonger is a good choice too.
I don't even remember him,
5.
so that takes him out for me. I'll go with Heath Ledger's Joker.
Mm-hmm.
Let me think about a couple more.
All right. Did you say Thanos or no? He's the Green Goblin.
Thanos. I do Thanos. So that'll be 4. Thanos. Yep. Thanos, Green Goblin,
Heath
Ledger's Joker, and Magneto.
Okay. So you need one more.
Yep. And
I would say, so I said Heath Ledger, Thanos, Ian McKellen. I agree with, I think I agree with you so far. I agree with, what's his name? William Dafoe's Green Goblin.
Right. I'll even go with Hela from Wonder Woman.
Okay.
So she was pretty badass.
Got it.
Because I mean, you can get into like a Electro and that, which Jamie Foxx, and that wasn't really a good portrayal at all. Pretty much everything else is comical.
Yeah, I'm looking at this list here, dude.
Grill chick from Captain Marvel, right?
Darben.
No,
no, we're not on worse yet. Oh, dude, High Evolutionary's up there too. He was a badass.
He was so insane. He was like nonsensical. So for me, that just
a little too much.
Yeah, it's too much.
Okay.
That kicks him out for me.
Yep. Another one. I wouldn't put him top 5, but I thought Mysterio was pretty good. I liked his portrayal. You weren't a fan?
No, I don't like the way they did that at all. No.
Loki. Now he went from villain to hero. I think as the villain he was pretty good. I don't know if I'd put him in top 5.
No, not top 5. Because Loki, he's always straddling the fence. Mm-hmm. He's like a Catwoman, right?
Yeah.
He'll do what's good for him at the moment. Pretty much all of them do that.
Mm-hmm.
Doom, whoever.
Right.
Galactus, I want to say Galactus so bad, but in a movie portrayal, a Black Cloud, that's not Galactus.
No.
So that knocks him out.
Scarlet Witch in Doctor Strange, but now kind of the same thing. She walks that line, but I thought that was I wouldn't put her top 5. Mm-hmm. What about Doc Ock? Spider-Man 2, and he came back in No Way Home.
Honorable mention. I wouldn't put him top 5.
All right, so do we have 5? We got Magneto, Ian McKellen.
Yep.
We got Thanos, Josh Brolin.
Heath Ledger.
We got Heath Ledger's Joker.
Yep.
We got William Dafoe's Green Goblin.
Right.
And 5, you said
Hela
from Wonder Woman. Mm-hmm. I barely remember Hela. So you're going Hela. I'm going to say, man, this is hard, dude. Imagine there's 59 movies on this damn list.
Right.
No, you know what I'm going to say? Miguel O'Hara from Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse. I'm going to throw him in there.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's going to be so we agree all across the board except for number 5. You got Hela in there. But some honorable mentions. Like you said, I think Doc Ock, great honorable mention. I think Killmonger and Black Panther, great honorable mention. Ronan the Loki, I think great honorable mention. You know who I liked on screen? I don't know how you feel about was James Spade's Ultron.
Nah, his voice threw me off.
Really, you didn't like the voice? I actually liked his voice.
I like James Spade's voice, but not as Ultron. As a matter of fact, I don't even remember watching the movie. I was so turned off by it.
No shit.
Because I think they chose him because of his popularity from the Blacklist.
Okay, that's so. I never watched that. That's why I'm like, I don't even know
that's
who
a good
is.
show, but it makes sense for him there, but not as Ultron.
Yeah. Oh, dude, how do we forget about the Winter Soldier in Winter Soldier? Yeah, great honorable mention.
Sure.
But
he came over too. So
yeah. So it's kind of now. If we were doing worse, dude, oh my God, you got Oscar Isaac's Apocalypse. You got
Rhino, Spider-Man.
Oh my God. Who's my man? Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor.
Oh my God,
that's one of the worst.
What?
Yep. Grills, as you call her, Darben.
Darben.
That was bad. I mean, dude, there's so many bad. The damn star, the starfish from freaking Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad. Yeah,
that was horrible.
Yep.
There was some really bad ones. Then there's like some decent villains in really shitty movies. Like Christian Bale playing Gore the Butcher, I thought was pretty good.
Right.
But Love and Thunder is one of the worst comic movies I've ever seen in my life. There you go.
I mean, even Electro in Spider-Man, I mean, it wasn't Rhino.
Right.
But, it was kind of bad.
Oh, that was bad. I think what saves him is he got his redemption in No Way Home.
Right.
He was done, but God, was it bad in the original one. Holy shit. What about like Red Skull from the first Captain America? Did you like him?
Yeah. I thought the skull was kind of cheesy, so that was kind of I'm a real graphic art kind of. I mean, you really got to pull it off. I'd rather you not have anything on at all than to wear something cheesy.
Right. Sebastian Shaw in X-Men First Class, Kevin Bacon. I thought he was okay.
Well, he was enough for the Guardians to come back for him for Christmas, right?
Yeah, kind of messed it up, right? Last one, Ivan Vanko, Whiplash, Mickey Rourke's version in Iron Man 2.
That was pretty cool.
I actually like, dude, I know he gets a lot of shit, but I actually like that.
Yeah. No, it actually made sense. I put him, I would put him like at a 5, like a even 5 with somebody, with Hela.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because I wonder where everyone else falls on it, because I know at the time everyone hated it. But they hated it because it was so different than the comics.
Sure.
But I mean, was it Whiplash ever anybody's favorite character? I don't know.
No.
Anyway, well, there you go. Top 5 superhero villains of all time, in our opinion. We also had Young and Kingpin on TikTok. He said, day 2 of asking, I guess we missed his question. Can Superman stop an unstoppable, full sprinting Juggernaut? What do you think about that?
No.
I don't think so either, no.
Because Superman isn't a unstoppable force. He is a stoppable force.
Correct.
Plenty of people have swatted him out the way. Juggernaut is supposedly an unstoppable force.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, when Superman ran into Spectre, who was like God's right hand, he just like hit his chest and bounced off of him. So, no.
Yeah, I'm with you. Now, who would win an actual fight?
Superman.
Superman would, yeah. But he's asking specifically Juggernaut running straight at him, full force sprinting.
Right.
Superman's not going to be able to just like tackle him. He's going to get hit.
Yeah. I mean, running, jogging. Once Juggernaut is in movement, nothing can stop him.
Right.
Period.
Yeah.
But himself.
Yep. There you go. So there's your answer, Young and Kingpin. And sorry we missed you on day 1, bro. All right. Higher or lower, Adrian? It's a little game we like to play here where I'm going to give you because you're not like one of these, Rotten Tomatoes nerds. You're not on there all day looking at scores. So I like to take advantage of that here, and I'm going to give you a score or a movie, and you're going to tell me if the other movies I name or even TV shows. I'm going to give you a little spoiler here. This one is going to be all animated. Okay, in the spirit of X-Men 97, we're going to be talking about animated shows / movies. And there is some DC-verse Marvel in this. So we had said a long time ago on this show, many moons ago, as they say. I always want to say many moons ago.
There you go.
That Across the Spiderverse was the best comic book movie of all time. We did a tournament, and it won, so we went with it, right? Do you still feel that way?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So you don't know what that movie scored on Rotten Tomatoes, right?
I do not.
Okay. So we're going to use that as our baseline. Okay. All right. So higher or lower, did Into the Spiderverse score higher on Rotten Tomatoes than Across the Spiderverse? Or I'm sorry, I screwed it all up. Higher or lower, was Across the Spiderverse score higher or lower than Into the Spiderverse?
I would go higher.
Okay. You're wrong.
Really?
Yep. Next up. Was Across the Spider-Verse scored higher or lower than X-Men 97 as a whole?
Higher.
Nope, lower. Was Across the Spider-Verse scored higher or lower than Batman: The Long Halloween?
Higher.
Lower. Dang, 0 for 3 so far.
That's okay. I don't feel any way about it.
That's okay. Yeah, you're not going to get upset and write about me online?
No.
Did Across Spider-Verse score higher or lower than Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths?
Higher.
Yes. Higher than both parts, actually. Was it higher or lower than Marvel's What If?
Higher.
Yes. Was it higher or lower than Justice League's Flashpoint Paradox?
Higher.
Lower. And then last but not least, was Across the Spider-Verse scored higher or lower than Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem?
Wow. Okay, lower?
Nope. Actually, it was impossible for you to answer that one because they scored evenly.
So, really?
Yeah. So maybe a spoiler.
That's interesting.
Yeah, right? So maybe next week it's going to be higher, lower, or equal to. Okay.
So is Ninja Turtles going to win an award too?
Probably not. I think that ship has sailed.
So therefore it's higher.
Yep.
I'm just saying.
Yep. Depending on your scale. But Rotten Tomatoes, according to them, it's even. All right. So I'm going to give you the scores now. Across Spider-Verse scored 95% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Really?
Yes. Wow. Into the Spider-Verse scored 97%. Are you surprised by that?
Apparently.
Yeah.
Since I got it wrong.
Yep, I am too. I'm like, because I think obviously they're both great movies. I think the score should be reversed, actually.
Right.
Yep. Across Spider-Verse at 95. X-Men 97 is at 99% right now.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yep. Batman: The Long Halloween is at 100%. So that's obviously higher than Across Spider-Verse.
Right.
Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths, Part 1, 88%, so lower. Part 2 is at 17%.
What?
How do you go from a Part 1 88? Now, you've only seen the first one.
Right.
Right? There's also a third one coming out. I found that out.
Maybe they don't need to bring the third one out.
I mean, at this rate, the third one's going to be a negative 12.
Right?
But, dude, going from an 88 to talk about a drop off, holy shit.
That's insane, dude.
And I know Rotten Tomato scores aren't everything.
Right.
But it's very rare that a movie rated 17% on Rotten Tomatoes is actually a good movie.
Right.
Let's be honest. Right. You know, like they obviously got the Spiderverse movies wrong, but wrong by just that much. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was even at 95%. The Mutant Mayhem, which that was a good movie. I don't know if I'd say 95%.
I definitely wouldn't call it that.
85% maybe?
80.
Okay, 80. It's not bad. Marvel's What If, 91%.
That's high for that.
I think that's really high for that show. I think they were high when they ranked that. Justice League Flashpoint Paradox, 100%. That
was a good show.
It was.
That was a good show.
But was it 100%?
I don't know about 100%, though. That's a stretch.
That is a stretch,
I feel some kind of way.
Yep. Well, there you have it, dude. So higher or lower. It's always some shock in this segment, huh?
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. How about you guys let us know if you agree with Rotten Tomatoes or not. Some of these we don't. And I do stand behind Across Spiderverse being #1 and currently the best comic book movie of all time.
Sure.
It literally feels like you're watching a comic book, you know. And the story's great, and the voice acting, and I mean, you can go on and on and on. And they didn't even have a bow to mayo, so I guess you know, maybe they're not always needed.
Right.
Anthony Cavintis says Professor X shirt cocking it when he had the blanket on.
Shirt cocking it.
Yeah, I guess that's a good term. But I think that's a good segue into the X-Men '97 finale review. So X-Men '97 wrapped up this past week. We had, I think we spoiled it for you guys because we called a lot of it here on Only Comics, which is what we do. As you know, Adrian, we are called We Are Who Is Right or something like that. So this was episode 10, Tolerance is Extinction. And it's actually a great time for you all to stop, hit subscribe button, share this with somebody you know you love because it's a great gift. To anyone who is the recipient. But we were the recipient of part 3 of this Tolerance of Extinction storyline, episode 10 of the first season of X-Men '97. This episode, it was a little bit longer. Remember, we were asking for a little bit longer episode?
Right.
This was about 40-something minutes, right? So that was cool. I'm glad it wasn't like, 2 hours.
Exactly.
But I think that was just enough,
Right.
Now, before we get into what happened, if you had to give this episode a score, well, you do have to because we're going to do it.
Right.
From 1 to 10, what would you rank part 3 of Tolerance is Extinction?
1 to 10?
Yep.
7.
7? Okay. I'd probably give it an 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good, I mean, they wrapped it up well, but there was a lot happening in this episode. And if I had one critique for the whole series, and we're going to get into kind of that later, it would be that they did it well, but it's almost like, dude, they were stuffing shit in there.
Right.
It's like, bro, it's busting at the seams.
Right.
It ain't broken yet, but it's getting there.
Well, they would have did a better job if they would have left out that Jubilee episode.
Yes.
They could have used that to kind of expand some of this other stuff that was going on because that Jubilee in the game episode was just useless.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. I mean, that was really the biggest down of this whole series was that, like, from a show standpoint, it's like all the rest of them are up here. That one's a major drop.
Right. Right.
So this picks up kind of right where last episode left off, and we're not going to go through, line by line, scene by scene. You can watch it on Disney Plus,
Right.
But just some of the highlights for me. Did you like the whole flashback Magneto? It wasn't really a flashback. It was Xavier in Magneto's mind.
Right.
And it starts. They're at a bar. And they're having this conversation that is a conversation they're always having, pretty much. Humans, mutants, all this, whatever. Did you like how that was represented? Him, because it's always hard to show what's going on when you're in someone's mind in a movie. Did you like that?
No.
Okay.
Which is why one of the major reasons I gave it a 7.
Got it.
I felt actually uncomfortable watching that episode. Because Xavier and Magneto, there's this dynamic with them.
Yeah.
And it's like we could have been lovers kind of a thing. It felt like beyond the friendship that they say that they have.
Yeah.
Or Xavier says that they have.
Right.
Magneto's denying this stuff all the way.
Correct.
He's like, yeah, we know each other, but this whole friendship thing. But it just got like uncle down the hallway kind of creepy at some point.
Okay.
And I just kind of felt uneasy about it.
Got it.
They could have it's almost like the classroom thing in the previous episode where Xavier put everybody in the classroom, timeout.
Yeah.
It was one of those things where it could have been done. I understand why he did it.
Yeah.
Even though he didn't have to do it.
Right.
But it could have been done better.
Got it. Yeah, I think it makes me like Xavier less.
Yes.
Because, dude, he's all about invading somebody's mind and borderline controlling them.
Right.
I mean, and he even told him, you're either going to turn this power back on or I'm going to force you to.
Right.
Which is, kind of fucked up.
Well, you put the entire planet, back a couple of 100 years, or turn this dude's switch off. I probably would have did it too.
Okay, so you were sided with Xavier then.
Yeah, but the way he went about it, it was just a weird scene. And it's also good to see Charles actually making a hard decision about something.
True.
For once.
Right.
Instead of, all this Boy Scout stuff that he's always preaching. We see Magneto do all kinds of stuff.
Correct.
But it was good to see, Charles actually do something. But, to his friend, to his buddy.
Yeah.
Who he's trying to spoon with. So I don't know.
So basically Magneto fights him. He's not going to do it. Xavier kind of overpowers him. And in doing that, he wipes his mind, right? Which is what we saw also in Fatal Attractions, the comic. He gets his mind wiped by, and in the comic, it happened in one little panel, quick. And this is where you see, I think, Xavier being typical Xavier. There's all this and depending on how you feel, what side you fall on, but there's always been a little discord between him and certain members of the X-Men, Jean, Cyclops, mostly the original. Because he set up blocks in Jean's mind, and a lot of them feel like he kind of overstepped. You shouldn't be in there doing what you're doing to people's minds and whatnot. And we kind of see that here with Magneto. He's after his mind's wiped, he's feeding him some information, but he's kind of withholding certain things. Now, do you think that that's messed up?
To invade somebody's mind, and then so basically he is putting his own versions of his life in somebody else. That's a huge violation.
Yeah.
Listen, either wipe your mind or don't. Reset his mind or not.
Right.
Kill him or not, but don't manipulate the whole thing.
Correct.
That's the uncle down the hallway kind of thing.
That's that typical Charles Xavier, man. Hey. So I think that was a little much. And then we'll get into, I'm going to save the I Am Magneto scene for later. That was, for me, that was a highlight of this episode.
Right.
And one thing that has been consistent in this show, there is some cringe dialogue, and it's kind of but there's also a lot of cringe dialogue in comics, let's be honest.
Sure.
So I guess sometimes I want to be really hard on it, but I'm it is kind of nature of the beast, I guess, But anyway, so while this is going on, we also have, once Xavier takes over Magneto, sets everything back, turns the power back on pretty much. These Bastion wakes up, all these Prime Sentinels wake up, and now we're in the middle of this war. Dude, one thing that I learned from this episode, and I also learned by watching Only Comics, because he was, I think it was a hidden gem a few weeks ago, Bastion, Bastion's a badass motherfucker, dude.
Right, oh yeah.
Holy shit.
Absolutely.
Dude, that fight scene, and then, dude, Rogue, I'm
starting to like her more and more and more, dude. She is just off the charts.
Yes. Now, and if you've ever watched one of our reviews, we're going to bounce all over the place like a squirrel on methamphetamine. So it's what we do, But there's also one of the downs for this episode for me is, maybe you can explain this to me, Adrian. Where the fuck did Phoenix come from?
Underwater, apparently. I don't know. She embodied that thing. So the way I understand the Phoenix Force is that Jean's power is so attractive that it's almost like, a dude that likes your girlfriend, he's gonna hang around you so he can be near your girl, waiting for the time that not only that you guys break up, but he's going to do some stuff on the side to kind of break you guys up. So the Phoenix Force just kind of hangs out because it's attracted to Jean's ultimate power, which Jean doesn't even know at some point, right?
Okay.
So at any point, it can manifest itself, especially if I think that when she in mortal danger.
Yeah.
So this could have been one of those situations. So that could explain why it just miraculously showed up.
Yeah.
Just like when Cable, his powers, his psychokinetic powers, magically showed up. I'm a descendant. It does not skip generations.
Right.
Who knows, dude?
Yeah, but I just never thought about using it till right now, even though I've been in plenty of life-threatening situations.
Exactly, right.
And maybe I could have stopped the whole Genosha, genocide, but I didn't feel like using my powers then.
There's that.
Maybe there's all that, too.
Right. But, Mom, I hate you so much. I'm going to use it on you.
Exactly.
Or fake Mom.
Yeah, which one? We don't know.
All right.
But, yeah, I feel like it felt a little like just...
convenient.
Right. Oh, we should have the Phoenix show up. All right, the Phoenix is going to come up from the bottom of this lake and just save the day, But
yeah, whatever.
It
worked.
And there you go. It did work. It's kind of like, we'll let that one slide.
Sure.
You've been doing so great, but we'll let that one slide, But, the Phoenix Force, it starts wrecking shit. And I guess one of the highlights of this part of the show is when she removes Sinister's mutations.
Right.
And he turns to this old cripply up dude,
right.
and then Morph turns into him and says, "You've always looked the same." There you go, yo, Morph. Hey, if you've not seen the hidden gem from last week, that's actually it's in its own video here on YouTube, so check that one out. Right. Where Adrian broke down Morph. Dude, Morph's a badass.
Oh, he is.
Dude, someone commented, I forget who it was. They're like, I think Morph would now solo the Justice League.
He'll probably. Potentially,
give
but
run,
he'll give some, a couple of them run for their money. It depends because again, we don't know because he's pretty much this version of Morph is a new character.
Right.
We actually don't know the extent of his powers.
Correct.
We already know that because it's not just that he can look like other people. He can absorb or duplicate some of their powers to an extent.
Correct.
Like the Hulk, but we don't know exactly what the upper limit is.
Right.
Things like that.
Bastion, through all this, is trying to crash Asteroid M into Earth.
Right.
Which was, what it reminded me of? And I'm not saying they stole this from there, but Avengers, Age of Ultron, the movie, the city of Sokovia is up in the air. Ultron's whole plan is to bring this thing up, drop this down, and wipe out a good chunk of humanity so that the robots can take over the world. AKA Bastion, X-Men 97, Asteroid M, trying to do the same thing, kind of.
Yeah, but we've seen this throughout comics where, was it on War World when Molecule Man picked up a mountain and dropped it on, our friends.
Yep.
So we see these super beyond extraordinary feats of power.
Correct.
And I guess dropping a mountain, moving the Golden Gate Bridge,
yeah,
dropping a city, moving a aircraft carrier, those are amazing feats.
Just a day at the office.
Just a day at the office.
Just a regular day for these guys. But yeah, so I saw, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I saw some parallels there, kind of reminded me of that. And Phoenix. One of the other things we learned here, Adrian, was Cable was under Sinister's control, right? And then Bastion's asked him, "How many times have you tried this, to stop him?" And he said 200. So this is something that's been ongoing. Like Cable's time traveling to try to prevent this, and has failed now 200 times.
That's crazy.
It is, dude. It's crazy. I mean, kind of like, reminds me of the whole Doctor Strange in Infinity War, when he goes through the somewhat million different versions and finds the one that becomes Endgame. So I guess what's cool about this is now that we've seen so much of this on screen, like the time travel, the multiverse type stuff, we do say that it's a lot, but it allows you to watch something like X-Men 97 and understand it, to the level that you do versus like seeing this and going, well, what do you mean 200 times? What the hell? Where is he coming from? I think it helps. But anyways, they the Phoenix Force, kind of saves the day for a minute. But then we touched on this earlier. We see Rogue, dude, just go like ape shit.
Right.
We see the full extent of her power fighting. Like, dude, she was giving it to Bastion for a minute.
Right. The only part I don't like is on a War World when Scott got the Phoenix Force.
Yeah.
You know, he's bragging all his power, and then Doom just like snaps his neck. It's like nothing, right? So, you know, she's fighting Bastion, you know, all over the place, and then he just puts in a chokehold.
Yeah.
And then she's up like flailing like a 3-year-old.
Right.
So I didn't like that part.
Yeah.
So it's like you got all this power. I mean, you couldn't have kicked him in the nuts or something. You know, there's other things you could have done. I mean, you know, why can't she? Oh, because he's actually a machine.
Yeah, so she can't absorb
his powers, right? Right. So yeah, I was kind of disappointed in the end.
Yeah.
But up until then,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was doing some. Rogue to me is like DC's Wonder Woman. You know, just all around badass.
Right. Dude, she's a great hidden gem because she's never been portrayed properly on screen.
Yeah.
Like, dude, Anna Paquin, I mean, she's not a bad actress. And again, it's kind of like, it wasn't her fault. Right. It was the way the character was written.
Correct.
They wrote the character as if Rogue was Jubilee.
And I don't think that they knew how to write powerful characters.
Correct.
They just wanted to portray them on screen.
Yeah.
And they probably just picked a couple of people that they thought would be popular at the time. Now it's a completely different story.
Yeah.
So Anna Paquin definitely would not be Rogue today.
Oh, God, no. No, you need someone big, someone, you know, strong. I don't even know who could portray Rogue, dude. I mean, but anyways, that fight scene was a highlight for me. And then, like you said, Bastion kind of stops her, and he's, you know, he's got the upper hand again. And then Beast, dude, they pull the Trojan horse. The Trojan horse with the Sentinel.
Right.
What you think about that?
Typical of Beast, you know, hijacking something, you know, technological. I mean, he's done that, you know, a few times.
Right.
So, but then everybody else is in him. It's like they're all in a Volkswagen Bug or something, right? And they show up.
It's like, come on, I got a new Sentinel.
Right. And then of course, they got to do the whole, you know, no reason why. I mean, it's a reason why the Trojans like horses or some crap like that. I'm like, dude, just fight. You got to go through all that
That's
crap.
Beast, though. Yeah, I feel like Beast, though, is a very underrated X-Men.
Sure.
Because, you know, he's big guy. He can scrap. He can throw down. But he's a freaking genius.
Yeah.
And he does a lot of behind the scenes stuff. So he almost is forgotten.
Yeah. He's also very political.
Yes.
You know, so he's known in the political arena, the scientific arena, and of course, you know, the X-Men. You know, but people forget all of that stuff because he's a mutant.
Right.
Which of course is the whole dilemma behind, you know, the whole X-Men comics.
Exactly. And you even see a lot of, like, you know, what parallels real life, unfortunately, where you have some people that accept him and they're kind of like, Beast, you're one of the good ones. You know, like, you're okay, but what about those other mutants out there?
I don't see you as a mutant.
Exactly, yeah.
You're just Beast.
Right, yeah.
What?
Yeah, absolutely. You're one of my mutant friends.
Right.
But, and dude, even this giant freaking Sentinel can't really stop Bastion. I mean, it slows him down a little bit.
Right.
And I feel like, and again, we are not experts. We've never claimed to be. So you may be like, no, it's not what happened. This happened first. You're probably right, dude. Then I don't know. You do your podcast then.
Right.
But anyways, we do see that scene when Magneto becomes Magneto again. He regains consciousness. And the asteroid is, you know, and he's probably the only one that can stop this asteroid at this point, right?
Absolutely.
You know, what did you think of that, how that looked on screen? I am Magneto, and you see all this power. I mean, someone said online it looked like he was going Super Saiyan. I'm not a Dragon Ball Z guy, but maybe, I know you're an anime guy.
Yeah, but I don't know what Dragon Ball Z looks like when they go. But before we get to that, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
So at some point, I mean, it's like they forget about basic physics at some point, right? So back to the Sentinels, you know, and when Beast is trying to, you know, put all the hydraulics into stomping Bastion, right? It's okay, physics. If you got a knife on the floor and you put your foot on top of it, when you first put your foot on top of it, nothing's going to happen. But you keep putting pressure on it, what's going to happen? The knife is going to go through your foot.
Correct.
Right? All right. So Bastion is this small thing on the bottom of this huge foot, and Beast is going all out trying. At some point, either the floor should have gave or Bastion should have went up through the foot. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I mean, some of this stuff, I mean, it's cool.
Right.
But it's like when Superman, like, you know, maybe catches an airplane. I mean, only a part of that is going to stay in his hands. The rest of it is going to go tumbling to the ground. So I just wish they think more about the physics of things instead of just how it looks.
True.
But again, it's comics.
Yes.
Right? So And I forgot your question.
I do know this, though. If you're in an airplane that's going down, do not call Homelander. Call Superman.
Exactly.
Homelander, you're here for all the wrong reasons.
Exactly. He wouldn't even bother to show up, dude.
Oh, no, my question was, and I get what you're saying, but maybe there was just the floor was so strong and the Sentinel was so strong.
There you go.
Everything was equally as strong, Adrian.
Yep.
But Magneto regains his consciousness.
Yes.
Busts
that
out.
Moment.
Yep, the whole I am Magneto moment.
Again, convenient.
Yep.
He just happened to release him, and then he just happens to know what's going on enough to be able to stop this thing from going on. But besides that, visually, it's pretty awesome.
Right.
I don't know what Dragon Ball Z looks like when they whatever, but it was dramatically it was cool.
Yeah.
Visually it was cool. The artwork and all the other kind of stuff. And then they took it up, and then at the end, you were kind of like, if they wouldn't have explained what happened at the end once he got it back into space, I would have thought that Magneto blew his asteroid M up.
Yeah, everyone's dead.
But that wasn't the case.
Right.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that was, dude, for end of a show, like that was a big moment. That was up there with some of the things we've seen on screen.
Yep.
Like and I hate to even say this because of how good some of the movies have been, but I would almost be more excited about them focusing more on animation right now than the movies. Like, build out, I said it before, let's have an MAU, a Marvel animated universe.
Correct.
All tied together. They can bring in and we saw a lot of, I love the cameos in this episode, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you got Cap and Iron Man with Senator Kelly.
Right.
You see, his shield wasn't there, though, was it?
No.
It's still,
it was still in the mountain.
His shield's still over in Mount Everest somewhere.
But I'm starting to not like this version of Cap, though.
Okay.
He's like, so there was a version in DC where Superman is basically the lap dog for the president, the Ronald Reagan version of the president, right? So he calls him up
with Cap.
Yeah. So Ronald Reagan calls up Superman to go and police Batman.
Oh yeah.
He basically six him.
In Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah. Was it? No.
It was in there. He did it there too. I don't know if it was Reagan, but he was his boy too there too.
It was an animated movie.
Yeah. Yep.
And so Cap is becoming that, like Rogue said, the something police.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I mean, he looks like, because there was a scene where he was like kind of looking down like that, but he looks like he is being affected by all these decisions. He doesn't necessarily agree with them, but he's going along with them anyway.
Right.
Which is also why there was that whole war, in the Avengers, him and Tony, let's just do the government thing. And Tony was like, no, dude, we got rights. And he's just going along with it. So I'm not feeling this version of Cap in here. He's like, he's worse than Scott at this point to me.
Correct.
So,
which, because of that, they could easily do a X-Men versus Avengers in the show.
Sure.
And it's the X-Men show, so they would be looked at as kind of the the good guys here, right? And Cap, they could be working for the government, still be the Avengers, but. I mean, that would be cool to see down the road.
Right. And, of course, typical of government, right? They're the reason that Asteroid M was falling to the Earth anyway.
Exactly.
But they blame it on the mutants.
Right.
Yep. But then when Magneto saved them, of course, they're not going to give the mutants the props.
Correct.
So miraculously, something else saved them other than.
Oh, yeah, it's a good point. The Magneto Protocol.
Exactly.
And we see, and it wasn't T'Challa, it was T'Chaka.
Right.
That Black Panther is, T'Challa's father.
Right.
He's kind of telling them, no, like, let's not do this. And they still go for it.
Because of Cap.
Yep.
I'm telling you, because of Cap. If he said something political, like you're going to be looked upon and blah, blah, blah. Because of Cap.
Yep. Damn, Cap. I'm starting to like Cyclops more, at least in this version.
Right. He's probably pissed because he can't find his shield.
That's exactly what it is. So it's all Rogue's fault, dude. He's so mad that his freaking shield's over in Mount Everest somewhere, But yeah, you're right. So really, we got to blame Cap for this.
Yeah.
That's what it all comes down to. But it was.
So no, I don't want to see him go and replace the Infinity Stones.
No, we want you to stay right where you are on Senator Kelly's lap. But yeah, I love all these little cameos that popped up. We saw Daredevil just kind of down in Hell's Kitchen doing his thing. That was cool.
There was another cameo at the very end.
Yeah.
You know who that was?
Very end? Where? You getting post-credit already?
No. No.
Alpha Flight?
Nope.
You did see Alpha Flight, though?
No, I did not see Alpha Flight. I must have been in my tablet or something.
Maybe. Dude, Puck was in there. They had the black and yellow suits. Puck was there, and then I forget the other two names. They were
post-credit?
No, it was when the power went back on, and you saw these cameos. When you saw the Daredevil cameo.
Oh yeah. The twins.
Yes.
With the blue and white.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
It was quick though.
Yeah, it was quick. I thought of you because you're a big Alpha Flight guy.
Yeah.
Dude. I'm like, you must have been excited. So we saw Daredevil. We saw Psylocke pop up.
Right.
So there's a handful of little cameos, and then you're talking about the end, right? So.
Right.
Asteroid M blows up, but what we learn is there's like some type of time, something, I don't know what the hell you want to call it, but they all kind of get thrown into different timelines.
Right.
And we saw Apocalypse, a couple versions though.
Right.
So the first.
There was a cameo.
Yeah. The first one was Ancient Egypt, 3000 BC.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I think, Nightcrawler, Beast, Xavier, and Magneto.
And Rogue.
Yep. And we see like they go to ask him who he is, and he gives his other name, En Sabah Nur, which is Apocalypse. Because Apocalypse is the first mutant, right? I know either Namor or Apocalypse, but I think Apocalypse predates Namor.
So if Apocalypse is the first mutant, then that dispels the rumor that mutants were a outcome of the super soldier serum.
Right.
Just saying.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I never heard that theory.
Yeah. No?
No. Conspiracy theories within, Marvel Universe.
There you go.
But then we see that, Jean and Cyclops, they're like way in the future.
Right.
Bishop shows up, and we kind of jumped ahead. It's just what we do. We're traveling through time too.
There you go.
But Forge is still in the present day.
Mm-hmm.
He's in the X Mansion. It's all chained up, and he's got the grid on the wall of all the previous X-Men. Most of them are perceived dead, right? And Bishop shows up, but Forge doesn't know who he is.
Mm-hmm. But he knows who Forge is.
Yes.
Matter of fact, they're buddies.
They are in the future.
Right.
Which, this is what's cool about this show is there's episodes, I think it's Days of Future Past in the X-Men animated series, where you see Forge, Bishop, and Wolverine in the future.
Okay.
And then they send Bishop back. So this is kind of, they don't know each other yet, or this Forge doesn't know Bishop yet, but we've obviously, anyone who's seen the show, we know what happens. I feel like they're setting up a ton of different things with this, right? But you mentioned Apocalypse. At the very end, this is a post-credit, was it post-credit or right before the credits? I think it was post-credit.
No, it wasn't post-credit because remember, Rogue, first thing that happens is some guys were trying to kill Apocalypse.
Yep.
And then Rogue pops up and she starts taking people out. Then Nightcrawler jumps in.
Right.
And then Magneto eventually shows up. And they go up to Apocalypse and they ask him who he was because he's got the mask on. And he pulls off and he tells them who the name. So, no, not post-credit.
Not that one.
I didn't even see post-credit.
Oh, you did? I
don't watch post-credit.
Oh, so you missed this, dude. So,
okay.
Mid-credit scene. I'm sorry. It wasn't post-credit. It was mid-credit. It's got to be exact here. But this is back in Genosha and I don't know what Earth this is, but the original X-Men universe or timeline. Apocalypse, full-blown Apocalypse shows up, and he picks up one of Gambit's playing cards, and he says something like a lot of death or something like that. Now, Apocalypse has been known to raise dead mutants.
I told you. They're
going
to bring him back.
They're going to bring Gambit back.
He's too popular. I told you. Somebody's going to resurrect him.
And I want to say, dude, was there not a comic where Gambit was under Apocalypse control?
I don't know. I'm sure everybody was, under the uncle. Everybody reported to the uncle at some point.
Yep. So you missed this, but right at the very end, you see Apocalypse. He has a little bit of dialogue, and he picks up like a burnt playing card.
Okay.
And references a lot of death, which, wherever there's Apocalypse, there's a death, or there is death. But all in all, dude, I really enjoyed this episode. I feel like it is busting at the seams a little bit with how much they can. It's kind of like that pot that's about to boil over. It hasn't boiled over yet, but it's getting there. Yeah, you leave it on the stove for another minute, it's going everywhere.
Yeah.
So I think they did a good job. But that's why I give it an 8. because it was very good, but it just felt like a lot.
Right, right. And I give it a 7 because, I mean, it was a lot. That whole Xavier invading Magneto's mind was cringy.
Yeah. You weren't a fan of that.
No words. Anyway, enough said about that.
Got it.
But the end, they did kind of recover with the end.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. I did not see the post credits. I could probably gotta start deep diving into those. But overall, this show 7. It just seems like after 6, it just kind of like went downhill a little bit for me. But this entire series, dude, has just been amazing. It's resurrected my faith in Marvel animation.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, they're still not at the DC level, but they're good.
Hey, maybe they're doing a little bit of this though, crossing, because DC with their recent releases.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, you said you weren't a big fan of, well, at least the art style of Crisis,
right?
And according to Rotten Tomatoes, Part 2 has a 17%. So,
wow.
Maybe they're passing the torch, dude.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'll probably watch that when it becomes free, because I'm not going to pay for it.
Yep.
At 17%, I'm not going to pay for it.
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe I won't watch it, dude. I don't know. But yeah, the artwork was crap.
Yeah.
But with a show like this, you can't say that there's too much in it. Because that's the whole point. There's a lot going on. You got multiple worlds, multiple Batmans, Supermans, Wonder Womans, all this other kind of stuff. So there's a lot going on. So
even there was a Spider-Man kind of wrap up. There was a Spider-Man animated series came out around the same time as this, and they had a little crossover, right? At the same time as the animated series. And at the end, they did like a Secret Wars kind of story. And I want to say Peter Parker and Mary Jane were like separated, like in different universes or some shit. And Madam Web was actually not like the ridiculous one we saw in the movie, but the real Madam Web,
right?
Was trying to help them get back together. And in these little cameos, we saw Peter and Mary Jane together. So I'm thinking, or it was just cool that they kind of tied that up in there. I'd like to see more Spider-Man crossover in the future.
So with all the stuff going on, it's like we saw that picture of Superman, right?
Yeah.
The world is going to shit behind him, and he's slipping on his boots.
Yep.
And
pumping him up,
pumping up his
Reebok pumps.
So out of all the stuff that's going on in the world, Madam Web is worried about getting Mary Jane and Peter Parker back together.
Well, that was in the original X-Men or original Spider-Man show. It was left there. So this just shows that they did get back together at some point.
Okay. Well, what they could have done is just not write that part where they're separated at all and save that for some other action scenes. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So there you have it. 7. You're staying on 7.
I'm staying on 7.
Staying on 8.
Okay.
I thought it was, pretty good. And I thought it was really good. And to your point, really enjoyed the series as a whole. Now we got, Andrew Duncan on YouTube says, great episode, guys. This was a few weeks ago. I agree with that. The real question is, was Magneto right? What would you have done in his situation when he gets released from Charles' mind freeze and flexes his power? He says he looks just like a Dragon Ball Z character. I don't watch Dragon Ball Z, so I don't know what that means. But was Magneto right, Adrian? But hey, before we do that, I got another little fun. I got a game called "Was Magneto Right?" Okay, me and my buddy Chat GPT, we went through a bunch of Magneto dialogue from the comics, from the animated series. And I found 3 statements that he made. And I'm going to ask you if he was right about these 3 statements, okay? So, number 1, in X-Men Evolution, Magneto's watching TV, and he says, these humans and their reality shows, truly the worst of their species. Was he right about that?
Yes.
Yes, I agree. In X-Men, the animated series, he says to Xavier, I always knew you had a magnetic personality, Charles. Was he right about that?
No.
No, I agree. He was not. And number 3, he says, and this was in the comic, The Trial of Magneto, my helmet protects me from psychic attacks. It also looks quite fetching, don't you think? Do you think his helmet? I agree.
I agree.
Yeah, me too.
But he has developed to the point where the helmet protecting him from psychic attacks is more what's the word? It's not historic, symbolic.
Yes.
Than it is now.
Okay.
So he's able to protect himself more so even without the helmet.
Got it. And actually, at the end of this, he didn't have it because remember the helmet was destroyed in the previous episode.
Right, because he wrapped it around Charles's head.
Dude, is that because listen, the more I watched X-Men 97, the more Charles Xavier annoys the living shit out of me.
Right.
So was that not like one of the best scenes in the host?
Absolutely. That's really why he tried to wipe his mind, because he's pissed off because he wrapped his chrome.
Because he's got a migraine now from that damn Magneto helmet. But as you can see right here, Adrian, the Magneto helmet is pretty fetching. So,
yeah, absolutely.
Yes, I agree with Magneto on two of those. And Charles Xavier's personality is definitely not magnetizing.
Oh, absolutely.
It is what I would call, Adrian, fucking annoying. So, but the real question that my man Andrew Duncan here asked us, was Magneto right? And what he's talking about, Magneto's ideology, if you will. Magneto was he was a hidden gem, Omega level mutant series a few weeks back. He's a Holocaust survivor. He's experienced cruelty from humans pretty much since birth almost, right? And he believes or advocates for mutant superiority and often resorts to violent means to protect the mutant race, right? Xavier advocates for coexistence. He wants to be equal with humans. So his question, after watching this series, do you think Magneto was right? That mutants and humans cannot coexist. Magneto he wants to live separately. He wants to move to Genosha, keep all the humans away. And if they go there and mess with him, he's ready to fuck them up. Was Magneto right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do agree, because you're always going to have this situation where humans are going to test the boundaries because they are not mutant. They don't have that power. They're going to always try to destroy them.
Yep.
They're always going to try to come up with some serum, some technology, some kind of process that they can bring mutants down to their level, right? Which we see today.
Yep.
On the flip side, you're going to have the mutants. Somebody is going to test the waters. I'm superior, so you should bow to me, or I should be your ruler. They're probably going to try to usurp Magneto if he, ascends to the level of like a king or some kind of guide.
Yeah.
You're always going to have somebody trying to challenge him to not usurp, but to enslave humans. So yes, I believe that it should be separate. Now, that doesn't mean there couldn't be some kind of trade agreement, right?
Yeah.
But living together, no, because eventually one of those two things are going to happen. Now, the other part about that is that Magneto boy, once you just magnetize your own freaking planet, put all the people on it that you want, and just go.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Well, I guess he tried that with Asteroid M.
Right.
And they had the damn Magneto Pro. Now, in Fatal Attractions, it's a little different, but he kind of does the same thing. It's not Asteroid M, it's something else. But it's like a, Asteroid M on steroids.
Right.
And he's up there in space just trying to mind his own business.
That's true. I mean, because, the whole point of Genosha was to separate and isolate, right?
Yep.
Well, to separate, not necessarily isolate. So that didn't work out.
Yep.
Then there's Asteroid M. So that didn't work out. So that's my whole point.
Correct.
It's like, wherever you go, whatever you're trying to do, you always got somebody with that crab mentality. You're not going to have what I don't. So I got to figure out a way to take it away from you, and I'm going to deploy it at my own, my own will. Now, notice the government had a Magneto protocol. Xavier has a Xavier protocol.
Right.
Remember that? A couple episodes about how to it's kind of like Batman's protocol.
Yeah.
It's a way to disarm all mutants.
Correct.
So they didn't deploy that, but it was brought up at some point. So everybody's got a protocol to destroy something.
Yeah. Absolutely. So yeah, I'm set. I think I agree. Magneto was right.
Yeah.
Now you talking through that kind of brings me to something else that was cringy about episode 10 when Cyclops is trying to save Bastion. Because I was just thinking, does this Cap doing what he did, does he now take the title for Captain Cringe that Cyclops has held for most of this series, or him trying to save the guy who literally is trying to kill everyone? I mean, it's typical, good guy shit, but God, like, really?
No, I think Cap still takes it because that is so. I mean, for what he is, he symbolizes the idea of America, but the idea of America isn't actually the truth, right? So when you start doing all this stuff, first and foremost, he's going against himself, right? In order to do all of this stuff. Cyclops is just stupid. Yeah. He's going to do these things, just reflexively. Right. And so, no, I think Cap, maintains that title. Yeah. It's just bad. Much. Even though what Cyclops did, again, right, it's just messed up, dude.
Another small little fun fact for you. When Cyclops and Jean and all these guys, when they go to the future, they see Nathan. Right. Child-sized Nathan. And then there's a lady there. Her name, what was it? Something, Mother Ascani or something like that, who is actually Rachel Summers, their daughter. So we're going to see more of the whole Summers family, feud going on here in season 2. I thought that was cool. But yeah, Magneto, I think he was right. Xavier, I mean, it just proves like time and time again, they try to do this peaceful. And you got Sentinels, you got Prime Sentinel. They're always doing something. You
got some technology that can take the powers away. Yep. I mean, there's all these programs that everybody's working on to wipe them out, or to bring them down to their level. Yeah. So it's just crazy.
Absolutely.
But where's Scott's brother in this, Havoc?
Oh yeah.
We haven't seen him.
No.
It would make sense for him to pop up somewhere. Right. But he hasn't.
Nope. Who knows?
But also I think Havoc was recruited by Sinister or somebody, or Magneto or somebody, because I think he's against Scott as well.
Yeah, they've always had issues.
Right. So Havoc is to Cyclops what Magneto is to Xavier. So they're brothers per se, even though they are literally brothers, but they just have polar opposite ideas and opinions.
Havoc, he's X Factor. I always get confused, X-Force, X Factor. He's with the X Factor. I don't know. Which is a team in Fatal Attractions. They're working for the government. So he's always kind of, I think at times he's been an X-Men, but we've seen them, which is, I'm surprised he didn't show up because he was in the animated series in a few episodes. So with all these damn cameos, but who knows? I mean, with the whole Summers family drama, maybe we'll see it in season 2. Right.
I'd like to see where... Remember, I did something where on Corsair.
Oh yeah,
where Scott's parents got picked up by this alien race, basically raped the mom, right? Snatched the embryo out because there's another child.
That's right.
Who's like super powerful and stuff. Yeah. So I mean, just those kind of histories are things that can be played out in your animated universe that they can do very well.
I like how you said that. My animated universe. So Marvel, I know we do this show. We both have regular lives and jobs, but I got time. So if you need some help moving forward, drop it in the comments. We're busy.
There you go. You can be discreet.
Yeah, exactly. Jason Gemini on TikTok says, I love X-Men 97, but next season seems like they are trying to combine too many stories. You agree with Jason here?
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Now, I do agree there's a lot of stories, but I'm gonna maintain my positive outlook, Adrian. Sure. I'm being positive. I think they can pull it off. I do. I also think they can fuck it up. So, I guess remains to be seen. Of course. Now, do you think, how soon should they get a season 2 out? I don't know for an animated show that waiting a whole year is a good idea.
Right.
I'd like to see it in maybe 8 months.
Sure. That sounds about right.
Yeah.
6 to 9 months, somewhere in that time frame.
Yeah, enough time to have a baby,
There you go.
yeah, if someone could make a baby in 9 months, you should be able to make a season 2.
Sure.
You know?
Sure.
I don't know how that logic lines up, but I'm going with it.
There you go.
All right. One thing I do know, Adrian, what's up next is Hidden Gem.
There we go.
Your segment where you're going to break down. As we call it on this show, Son of Sekhmat says you're on fire. I say you're dropping knowledge bombs, you know. What'd you say last week? Drink from my tree or something? Something like that? Yeah.
Sounds like something I would say.
Yeah, definitely something you would say. I would say this. Everyone should subscribe right now, and they should also go to onlycomicsmerch.com so they can dress like us, you know.
There you go.
But anyways, who do we have on Hidden Gem this week?
All right, this week. So we're going to flip back over to DC.
All right. Wait, what's DC? What is that? What is DC?
I don't know. Anyway, I was actually going to go with a different comic book. I was actually going to go to like a Dark Horse or something like that because there's some interesting characters over there as well. Yeah. But this week is DC. Now, this character has been around for a minute. Very interesting. Not like a Batman. Not a always running character, but definitely has been in more than most. Right. So this week is Lobo.
Okay.
And Lobo is a space first of all, he's from a race of people called the Zarnians, right? Which is an immortal race. Now, the interesting thing about it is, I forget if it's the entire race or just Lobo, but at some point they're mortal, right? So they got kicked out of heaven and hell, so they can't die, like literally cannot die because there's nowhere for them to go. So Lobo, he was just a regular citizen at one point, and at some point he decides to like wipe out the rest of his race. Right? He created this thing, these stingers or whatever. They went around, killed everybody. So now he's the only one of his race that exists. Matter of fact, the whole world of Zarnia is not even in DC Comics anymore. It's not even mentioned.
Okay.
So he's the single solitary. Now, the interesting thing about that is the only way that he can truly die is if he's killed by another Zarnian.
Okay.
But guess what? There's no more Zarnian, so therefore
he can't die.
He can't die, right? So
he's immortal because of a technicality.
Pretty much. No, he's immortal because he engineered his immortality.
Okay, there you go. That's it.
by killing off everybody else.
Got it.
So Lobo is a spacefaring, basically bounty hunter.
Okay.
For coin, he'll go around and collect things, and people loves to drink and do all the wild and crazy things. Things like regular, biker mentality. Well, and he literally has a bike, a space vehicle that he rides around on, which is interesting, which I get to in his power set, right? He's had like a pit bull, kind of to tag along that's kind of like him, but then he stomps it to death in one of the episodes. So, damn. I mean, this guy is just a character, but...
Is he a villain or anti-hero?
It depends on what he's doing for the
Depends on
moment.
the day?
Right.
Okay.
So, but mostly kind of a villain.
Okay.
He shows up. He's always he's like a saber-toothed Wolverine, right? He'll go and slap Superman around, which is also which we mentioned. If Juggernaut and Superman were to come together, what would happen?
Yeah.
Well, because Lobo is slapping Superman around, obviously Superman would get deflected, right?
Wow.
So he goes around collecting things, and he'll show up on Earth every once in a while with a cigar. I don't know how a cigar is lit in space, but he shows up with it, right? So powers. He's obviously immortal. Again, because he's kicked out of heaven and hell. That's the reason why he's immortal. He cannot die, right? So his not dying is so pronounced that he could literally reconstitute himself entirely from a drop of blood, his own blood.
Wow.
He's been ripped in half. He's had his head pulled off. He can literally, any part of his body, not only can he reconstitute himself from a drop of blood, he can also make millions of copies of himself from his blood.
Got it.
So you got that. But outside of that, he's very a lot of endurance, incredible endurance, and powerful. Like I said, he slapped Superman around. Now, if Superman were to go like Superman,
yeah,
he would probably beat him. but he has a lot of power. Now his endurance allows him to fly around on his motorcycle through space. So if you can imagine what that is, right? So he's obviously don't need to eat, don't need to breathe, don't need to drink, all that other kind of stuff. But he drinks because he likes to drink.
Got it.
So very interesting character. He's all about himself, very much a loner, but basically a bounty hunter on steroids. And his thing is that even though he's all about himself, he has this code, right? And basically, if he gives you his word, then that his word is his bond.
Okay.
So, a very cool character. I would like to see more of him. But the funny thing is that, he hasn't been around as long as a lot of other characters.
Yeah.
But he has a lot of cameos, though.
Really?
He shows up. He's showing up different animations. A lot of different comics. He's had his own comic.
Yeah.
And of course, every writer that writes him kind of differently, but still, the basics of it all is that, the immortality, the high endurance, the bounty hunter thing. Yeah. So cool character. Would like to see more of him. But I didn't know about the whole immortality. It's crazy. He's like Deadpool, right?
Yeah.
Deadpool dating death. That kind of thing. Mm-hmm. It's like you can't go either one, so we're just going to leave you here and you just fly around and do all the crazy stuff that you do.
Gotcha.
So interesting character. Would like to see more of him.
Yeah.
Definitely. And other characters like him. I think we should do, but I think there should be more cameos of people like him or characters like him that show up and do stuff.
Is there a Marvel character that you would compare him to who he's similar to?
I mean, there's plenty of Marvel characters that, has his power sets, but I mean, but his whole dynamic, you have immortals, right? Yeah. Wonder Woman is immortal. I'm sure she can die, right?
Okay.
Lobo is immortal, but can't die because there's nowhere for him to go, right? Wonder Woman would go to, wherever she goes.
Yeah.
There are stronger, more enduring characters in Marvel, but none of them that just, pop around the universe the way he does.
Got it.
Or has his mindset. So, the only person, his name actually means wolf.
Okay.
Right? So, the only person I would compare him to, not even on the same level, would be Wolverine.
Okay.
But mostly in attitude.
Got it. Who would win, Lobo or Wolverine?
Oh, Lobo.
Really?
Yeah. First of all, I got to
do. He's immortal, yeah.
Well, not only is he immortal, just tie Wolverine to his bike and take him up in space. He'll suffocate.
There you go.
There's that.
There's that. Jason Momoa pitched a Lobo movie to James Gunn.
Uh-huh.
Now, I don't know if, what came out of that, but from a look standpoint,
perfect. That's perfection right there.
Now that'd be two characters.
Hey, Jason Momoa, he's getting up there in age. He can probably do that character. Yeah. Probably do it a couple of times, and then it'll be time for him to tap out.
Then he's gonna ride off into the sunset.
That's it.
On that bike with him too. All of them.
All of them.
Wow. So another great hidden gem.
Yep.
Lobo. I didn't know much about this character. I definitely didn't know about the mortality.
Right.
I always, funny you said Wolverine, because I always looked at him as like, is that like a Wolverine version, or, DC's version of Wolverine, but really not outside of just kind of some of the look, or just like you said, he's a wolf, animalistic, but no, not at all. But yeah, dude, I would be all. Now he's not like 5'2" like Wolverine, is he?
No.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I think because he's always slapping Superman around. I think he's like a little taller than Superman.
Damn. Wow. So he's making Superman his little bitch.
Dude, it's crazy. It's like Superman is so underrated because of himself.
Right.
I mean, they obviously they're writing him this way.
Yeah.
Like the Boy Scout kind of a deal.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just at some point, sappy is just sappy.
Right. Damn. Again, another great hidden gem. We're gonna move on, Adrian, to so we talked about the X-Men '97. We talked about episode 10. want to just kind of go through the season as a whole. Okay. Rotten Tomatoes says it's 99% as a whole.
Nice.
Yes. If you're giving the whole series a score from 1 to 10, what's that?
1 to 10, I would do, and mostly because of Rogue, I would do a 9.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. I'm actually surprised. I thought you were going to come in, like 8, But yeah, I think I agree with 9. I mean, it's not 10. 10's per. I don't. Right. But I think 9. And if I were to kind of just, and I don't have a number on these ups for the overall season, I think the animation was phenomenal. Right. Like the fight scenes, and I know they said it was inspired by like early 90s anime, and I'm not a big anime guy, but I think you've said a few times you can kind of see that inspiration in there. Or no?
No. So you don't get inspired by early 90s anime. You get inspired by the earlier anime.
Okay.
The 90s anime. The 90s anime was like, Pikachu and that dumb shit. It's like, no.
Damn, what you got against Pikachu, bro? That's my boy.
No, they need to go back. Ghost in the Shell.
Okay.
Akira. Vampire Hunter D. I mean, that's older anime.
Okay. But you like the fight scenes in this, the powers, all that stuff. I mean, we seen some. I'm just thinking about like some of the scenes with Storm. Seeing all her powers. And I think like everyone kind of got their shine. As much as we were beating up about the Wolverine, kind of just taking out the trash and fucking cleaning windows and stuff. But there was I think it was episode maybe 8 or something when, he goes ape shit on the Sentinels.
Yeah.
That was cool. Magneto, I mean, dude, Magneto went from like here to here in my book. And I've always loved Magneto. I mean, you going back to one of our early shows, he was on my list of top 5 characters, period. But I'd move him up even like after his this series outside of the big stupid M, is probably the best portrayal of Magneto we've seen anywhere.
Well, I think if they didn't do the M thing, we wouldn't see a progression. So I think that it was planned, and I think it was done well because we felt some kind of way about it.
Right.
And then our emotions switched or elevated or changed, right? So they planned it. They got us on it.
They got us.
So it was good to see.
Or they were watching.
And
they said,
I'm sure they was doing that.
This fetching helmet right here,
Fetching.
But yeah, Magneto's portrayal, phenomenal. What other ups? I mean...
For me, really, it was. First of all, I've always liked the way that they drew the Sentinels.
Yes,
I know they're just like mechanical things,
right?
But I like the design of them and how they portrayed them, how they move and things like that. So, for me, the highlights were Sentinel, Magneto, but above all, Rogue. Now, the other I would call a honorable mention is being introduced to and seeing the awesomeness of Bastion.
Yeah.
So that character is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And also
a lot of ups.
Gambit,
yes.
So Gambit was like a Jubilee to me.
Yeah.
But he's really, his power set and the way that they portrayed him, I'm really impressed with Gambit, and I predicted they was going to resurrect him some kind of way.
Yeah.
I still say that.
Yep. Well, we who is right. That's our new name here on the show. We're going to change this show to that. So it only comes to me, we who is right.
We who is right.
Yeah, Bastion definitely. Because one of the biggest components of any superhero movie, film story is the villain, the bad guy, right? And there's been a lot of movies that we've seen where they've been really good movies. And I think having a subpar villain stopped them from being great.
Right.
There's a lot of these movies, too, where it's like those villains just, now, the Marvels wasn't a horrible. It's kind of mid. Better than Captain Marvel.
All right.
But imagine how much better it could have been with a great villain. Because Dar-Ben was trashed. It was horrible. Right. You stick like a Thanos level villain in that movie, and I think it becomes a lot better. So a lot of people want to knock it for other reasons, but a lot of times it's something simple as that. Shitty villain.
Remove Dar-Ben. Get another actress for Brie Larson. Take Nick Fury out of it with his cat sitting moments. There was no reason for him to be in it at all.
Right. Someone had to babysit the cats.
The whole comedy thing around Ms. Marvel's family.
Yep.
So those things kind of like made it kind of drag through the mud. But so you're right. It could have been a different thing with a whole new cast. If they would have just wrote a whole new show, it would have been a better movie.
Yep.
Just throw everything out, bring in something else.
Yep. I mean, Madam Web's a shitty ass movie, and the villain didn't help. Villain was another major down. But yes, Bastion, great villain. I like Sinister as that kind of supporting villain. And we at the beginning we kind of thought he was the main villain, right? And then we realized that there's even bigger bad here, so that was cool.
You know what that reminded me of? That reminded me of and it slipped my mind. The show is a movie, about the guy. He was played by Kevin Spacey. Okay. He was like a cripple, and then you have all these guys doing all of this stuff, but in the back, Kaiser Soze.
Oh yeah, Usual Suspects.
Usual Suspect. Yep. It reminds me of that.
Yes, that's a great movie. That's a great movie. The lineup.
But the point is, you got somebody in front who you think is running things, but there's actually somebody in the back end. Yep. Ice Cube's son played a movie like that too. Okay. With he was a bank robber. Yeah. But he hired this other team who you saw the team first. Right, going in, making all these moves, and then he got everybody killed, and then he ended up taking all the money, and then so he masterminded the whole thing from the very beginning, even though he was part of it. Okay, so it reminds me of that. So very good writing on OnlyFans Boy. So he'll be missed.
Yes, definitely. And I think that's another up for me is the writing. A lot of the stories, the character arcs were handled so well. Who we didn't even mention earlier was Sunspot. His progression, right? It's teased the whole time. You see his arm light up. He don't want to use his powers, right? And then in the final episode, he even takes on the name Sunspot, and he says his little dad joke has a little more flair to it. So as a dad, I appreciated that joke. It's good.
They could have gave him a little bit more oomph when he was when he went at bashing, but whatever. He's just learning.
Yeah, he's just learning. But it was cool to see him full blown Sunspot. The morph cameos were fun. We talked about that last week. It was just provided that nice comic relief and kind of throws you off. Make sure you're paying attention. You're like, where the hell Quicksilver come from? Oh, that's morph. And I think I like the twist, like the Magneto. Talking about the character arcs. Really, for a lot of these characters, I mean, Jean from the beginning with the whole Madeline Pryor thing, who she turns into. Storm's arc from losing her powers to coming back even more powerful.
Dude, at some point I just got confused. Is it Jean? Is it Madeline? Is it Phoenix? Is it like? I mean, come on. I mean, she want to get down with Wolverine, and then he's like, no. I mean, it's like it was at some point I didn't know who that person was at
you were just as confused as Scott, right? So you feel Cyclops' pain, dude. Cyclops was cringy throughout, which is true to character. Right. So as much as I'm like he's cringy, but he's supposed to be just like Xavier's supposed to be a dick. Cyclops supposed to be cringy, so
I guess.
I'm knocking over my fetching helmet here, dude. Chill. So, and we get to see Magneto back in the fetching outfit, so that was cool. Absolutely. And dude, I mean, the balls to do the adamantium, to rip that out in animation.
That was a moment.
It was, dude. Yeah. It's like so much happened, we almost kind of forgot about that. Right, but dude, the fact that we saw that, so I like the progression of this. Now, if I had to say downs, I'd have two downs. The voice acting was inconsistent. Okay. For me, half of the casting felt like they wanted to emulate the old voices from '97, and the other half felt like they wanted to create new voices. Right. And I feel like I like the ones where they emulated the old voices. Okay. So like I wish that, as much as I thought he did great in the last episode, I wish they would have found a different voice actor for Wolverine that could sound more like the early Wolverine in X-Men the Animated Series. Okay. And I'll give you a perfect example of when this has happened. So Tony Montana, Scarface, Al Pacino. You obviously remember that movie from the 80s. Yep. Back in mid-2000s, I forget what game studio created a Scarface game. Okay. They asked Al Pacino to voice him. He turned it down. Right. You know why he turned it down? He said, because Scarface was 30, 40 years ago. I don't sound like that anymore. Right. I don't want to do it just because I'm Al Pacino. Right. I don't want someone to play this game and say it doesn't sound like Scarface. So they had someone else come in, someone who no one knows, And I promise, if you're bored one day, pull this game up on YouTube, and it sounds just like the old Scarface.
Nice.
I would have preferred that with most of these voice actors.
Okay,
I think they did it with Cyclops, because I'm pretty sure the actor who voiced Cyclops passed away.
Mm-hmm.
I think they did a great job with him. Magneto, I think that's a new actor, but it sounds close enough to the original.
Sure.
So I feel like the ones they recasted are better.
Right.
Now, Rogue, there was 2 actresses that voiced Rogue in animated series, I believe, and they used the second one, and I think she did pretty well throughout.
Sure.
Gambit's another one where they recasted. I thought he did pretty well. Mm-hmm. So I guess my point, I like the recasting. So the voice acting for me was a down.
Right.
And the other down, I felt like the show was a little rushed at times because of how much there. So the pacing at times was a slight down.
Sure.
So I'd give it 2 downs and like probably 97 ups. You know.
Okay.
What are some downs? Any downs that you?
The Captain America cameo.
Yeah.
You know.
You just don't like that version.
I just don't. It's like watching the old Nick Fury.
Yeah.
You know, go through his aging pains and being all fat and stuff like that. So just some nuances across several characters. Mostly the cameos, Captain America, the whole nonsensical stuff, the mechanical stuff. I'm very mechanical when I look at stuff like the Sentinels stomping on top of Bastion, things like that. Cable all of a sudden remembering he's has a psychokinetic mother. Phoenix coming up out of
the water.
nowhere.
Yeah.
Xavier with his lap pillow or blanket or whatever he's at. Some things like that.
Yep.
So nothing major.
Okay.
The biggest thing to me that stood out was this whole dynamic when Charles was inside of Magneto.
Yeah.
Literally, you can take that however you want to take it. Right. So it was like it's like wow, I can't even, I don't even want to watch this part kind of a thing. So that was the biggest turnoff for me.
Got it.
That whole scene.
Yeah. I think another up would be it really sets up a lot for season 2, which I think is a good thing if it's handled right. Mm-hmm. And also like I said last week after episode 9, I couldn't predict this episode, which was good.
Right.
And doesn't always happen in fiction. A lot of times you're like, I know exactly where they're going. This is going to happen, boom, So I thought that was a major up. And I could say the same thing about season 2. Obviously with certain, some of these little, not end scenes, but where everybody ended up in a timeline, you could speculate based off of some comic stories, but you really don't know how they're going to do that and tie. I think that's one of the big things that X-Men 97 and the original animated series did was they took comic stories that didn't tie together and tied them together.
Right.
Like there was a lot of X-Men comic stories kind of crammed into this season.
Right.
And they made them work. So I'm excited to see them do that again for season 2.
Assuming they do as well of a job with season 2 as they did with season 1.
You really hope so.
So season 1 is the bar right now.
Yep.
They need to they don't have to necessarily go above it, but at the very least they got to stay there.
Absolutely.
I hope they do that successfully.
I agree. All right. Before we move on, we're going to wrap up with the Agree to Disagree. So I switched the whole show on you, Adrian.
That's all right.
We'll save that for the end. I figured it'd be a nice rapid-fire way to end this, So before we do that, we talked about – you're a big Doom fan, right? We talked about Giancarlo Esposito's casting, or not his casting, but we know he's going to be playing someone in the MCU. We don't know who yet.
Right.
My man Scotty K here on TikTok says, I was hoping he was going to play Doom. He does the villain or anti-hero role so good. Did you see Giancarlo as Doom?
Sure. Besides the fact you'll never see his face anyway.
True. But I mean, from the
acting point of view, absolutely.
Yeah.
He's one of those actors, like I said, I mean, it's behind the eyes.
This is like a presence.
Exactly. And I think he would make an amazing Doom, and that he's the kind of personality that you would want inside that suit.
Correct.
Because Doom has to be outside of the armor.
Right.
So I think he would knock it out the park.
It's like my boy Battinson in the bat suit, dude. You got
oh my
feel
God.
that presence,
I mean,
bro.
That's I think you're saying a little much. I think maybe a little too far with that.
That's a little stretch.
Just a little stretch.
But I feel like, you feel it through the mask, dude. Your eyes, like you always talk about.
I feel it.
Yeah. But Doom, but as Scotty K says, Giancarlo is Doom. I'm down with that. I like that.
I think that'll work very well.
And I agree. He does do, because Doom kind of walks that line. Probably more villainous than not, but there's times where he works with the Avengers, the X-Men, and then he'll turn right on them, or he has his own plan. But he walks that line pretty well.
Right. Well, I think Doom is kind of like Magneto in a way. He's trying to protect his own.
Correct.
Right? Magneto's trying to protect the mutants. Doom, he's like the protector of man. That's his whole thing.
Yeah.
And when things get in the way of that, or he's just trying to learn some new magic, then that's when he goes and do Doom stuff.
Right.
Outside of that, I mean, he's minding his business. He's a monarch of his own, country.
Yeah.
Extremely powerful, extremely wealthy. Extremely smart, so he could do pretty much, and I'm sure he does all kinds of stuff, right?
Right.
So, being a villain isn't his only thing.
True.
But again, if it gets in the way of his mandate, then that's when you're going to have a Doom problem.
Yep. Oh, a Doom problem, a Doom level threat.
Doom level threat.
You're going to be doomed.
Exactly.
If you fuck with Doom, you'll be doomed. There you go.
There you go.
All right, Adrian, are you ready for Agree to Disagree?
Let's go.
This is where I rapid fire. Actually, I got like 10, maybe even 11 today. I got one I'm toying with. I may throw at you. I don't know. But
Sure.
I got them. I'm going to rapid fire them. They're just my opinions that some of my, honestly, now that I'm saving this segment for last, Adrian, I'm going to be fully transparent with you. I came up with a lot of these as we were talking today on this show. Well, actually, as you coined it, this may not be a podcast. This might not even be a show. It's just fun.
There you go.
And I think everyone watching had fun with us today.
Absolutely.
If you were one of them watching us, would you have fun?
Absolutely.
Yeah, me too. Not to speak for y'all, but I know you guys are having fun. All right, you ready?
Let's go.
Number 1, X-Men 97 was better than What If.
Absolutely. Agree.
Dude, actually, a rumor about What If, season 3 is going to drop, and it's going to be the last season. So I'm like, good, no more.
Right. Because I don't think I've seen the entire second season.
I don't like
because
it
was
dude.
It's just weird. It's it's wrong. It's just wrong.
Yeah. I'm not, maybe we're like in the minority there, but I am not a fan of What If.
No.
Number 2, Magneto was right.
Absolutely.
Number 3, Ian McKellen was a better Magneto than Michael Fassbender.
I agree.
By like that much. Though.
Exactly.
I'm not shit Fassbender.
But technically, like you said, they're two different Magnetos.
Yes.
So you got a new and uprising one, but versus a seasoned one.
Correct.
So, but he's still estimated.
Yeah, we're literally talking like by, if Fassbender is a 9, then McKellen's a 9.5. Like it's right there. But number 3, Tom Hardy's Venom portrayal is just ridiculous.
Always has been.
Yes. And in case you're confused, that's an agree.
Right.
Number 5, Across the Spiderverse is better than Into the Spiderverse.
Agree.
I like that dramatic pause there. Bo DeMayo should be rehired by Marvel. And yes, I said that last week.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna say it every week until they rehire. We're gonna start a petition for my man Bo. Come on, dude. 7, Juggernaut would not solo the Justice League.
He would not.
Okay. Lobo would solo the Justice League.
He would not.
Oh, there you go. One disagree. 9, Jason Momoa should play Lobo.
Absolutely.
Number 10.
But that's it. You're done then.
That's it. No more. No more after that, dude. And everyone watching right now should go to onlycomicsmerch.com, support us, and buy a hat and a T-shirt.
Absolutely. And other stuff.
Yep, we got coffee mugs, dude.
Right.
We got Marvel shirts on there. We don't have this fetching helmet on there, though. So I'm just telling you, I don't know. You can only get that in certain spots.
There you go.
And I had another one about Doom, but I forgot it. So we'll come back to that at some other point in time. Well, there you have it. Another week of fun with us. We're going to change the name of this show to Fun with Mike and Adrian.
Or we just keep it Only Comics, but it'll be like a subtitle.
Yep.
There
It'll just say fun right at the bottom. There you go. New merch coming soon. But we appreciate you joining us for this ride. Next week, we got, who knows, but there's no more X-Men 97.
Nope.
Maybe we'll finally dig into Fatal Attractions. We've been teasing that. And honestly, we just ran out of time today, to be honest. We got that. But there's plenty of, and hey, drop some more comments. Let us know. Let us know what y'all want. You know?
Right. You know what we're not gonna dig into?
What?
Madam Web.
I don't care that it's number 1 on Netflix. We're not going to rewatch it. No. All the Madam Web I need is the little bit that we saw in the end of X-Men. Just her helping Peter Parker out. That's all I need. So, anyways, there you have it. If you've not done this yet, hit subscribe button. Why would you be watching this long and not subscribe, Adrian? I don't know. But anyways, we appreciate y'all joining us for the ride. Adrian, thanks for coming in.
Absolutely, man.
Great hidden gem. We had a lot of fun today, as you put it. And there you have it. X-Men 97 wrapped up. But what hasn't wrapped up is Only Comics. We'll be back here next week on YouTube, on Spotify. Follow the TikTok for the shorts, and we'll see you soon.